What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ring the Bell Philly Show here on the RTB Philly Sports Network, presented to you by SeatGeek. I am your host, the one and only Christy Francesco, joined by the VP of this whole dang thing, Jason Kent. Jason, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, it's a beautiful day. You know, you
Yeah,
got to see a nice win. It's beautiful weather outside today. You couldn't ask for, much better close to from close to my season. It's my Sunday tickets, our last season
yep.
day of their game of the season. So it's always nice to go out and a win. Kind of unexpected. Wasn't fan appreciation day, which is kind of shocking. Usually it
hmm
is. So I was a little upset, but hey, we got a bag. My son got to go. We got a win. Way to end out the weekend. So all in all, I was pretty happy today.
Also, was the highest attendance for a home game of the season.
Was it
Just under
really?
45,000 people. I think it was 44,750, something along those lines, but it was the largest crowd at Citizens Bank Park this year. So,
Well, it's a complete opposite of like last year and the year before. Like when you're I remember going into the playoffs, that last game of the year, we had like halfway there. Like
yeah,
now it's, now that we have a winning, it's nice to see the crowds back.
yeah.
It makes that drive home. My buddy, I got a text, after they won, he could barely even get to the bridge after that game. So it makes the crowds getting out of there a little harder, but
Yeah, for sure.
it's nice to see them back in their winning ways.
Yeah, I would like to ask all the Phillies fans to stay home tomorrow night because I'm going to the Eagles game. So I really don't want to have 110,000 people, all at once down there tomorrow night. But it's gonna be wild tomorrow. But let's just talk about this week that just happened. The Phillies are the first team to reach the 90 win mark of the season here. Look, and what I think this weekend proved, and over like the last, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 homestands, if you really wanted to be convinced, if you needed to be convinced by this point, Jay, that of the importance of the top seed, and getting that home field advantage, you may want to just look at the last 2 homestands of the Phillies. They've gone 10-3 in their last 13 games at home, winning 7 of them in dramatic fashion. If you look at it, you start at August 26th, the walk-off win against the Astros. August 29th, they were down 4-0 to the Braves. They won that game. And then the walk-off win September 1st, the walk-off win September 9th. Same thing, the 10th, the 14th, and then again Sunday, a walk-off win against the Mets, thanks to a JT Realmuto single. Castellanos got that inning started after a Bryce Harper strikeout. But look, I know we've talked about this so many times in the past, Jay, where, yeah, home field advantage might not mean so much if you look at the past 2 seasons of what happened to the Braves against the Phillies. But maybe, I'm just saying maybe that's an outlier. When you look at how this baseball team plays at home, does the top seed mean a little bit more to you this year?
No, it's while I enjoy it when I look at, everybody's, it's funny because this thing was on Facebook and everybody's talking about, well, nobody really wants to come to Philly. Look at the last couple years. But then, when you really look at it, Houston came in here and whooped our ass.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, when
Ugh.
push came to shove, came in here and beat our ass,
Yep.
bad. So yes, to me, it is nice. To me, I want that 1 seed more because I think we're kind of limping into the playoffs. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at our starters, Sanchez, he pitched a beautiful day today. You were getting out of Wheeler. As of right now, I don't know what we're getting out of Nola.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of before his last 2 starts, he was really kicking it. And his last 2 starts, he just isn't looking great. You don't know
September
what.
Nola.
Yeah, like last year it's crazy too because last year
Yeah.
he's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And with Ranger, you're not sure where he's at now. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think it is very important. I think for them to get. I just want 1 or 2. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We've beaten a lot of these teams. The last 2 years when we were coming up. So I
For
don't
sure.
think it's necessarily as important. To me, it matters how hot we saw it with us in 22.
Mm-hmm.
Houston was still hot going in, even though they're the number 1 seed. They were
And
playing very
Arizona
hot.
last year.
Last year, Arizona and
Yeah.
Texas were both
Yep.
playing hot going in. So
Yeah.
I'd much rather, it's great just by us playing hot, we're going to get that 1 or 2. but I'd rather be playing good ball, and I'd rather one or two. I'm fine with that. You can't drop below there, I think.
For sure. At the Phillies, like we said, they're 90 and 59. They're guaranteed to end the weekend at least 3 games ahead of the Dodgers for that number 1 seed in the National League, which obviously comes with home field advantage. Given the top American League team trails the Phillies by 3.5 games, home field advantage looks like it would extend to the World Series should the Phillies get there. Now, does that mean a little bit differently to you having that home field advantage, if that means you have that through the entire duration of the postseason?
Listen, it is nice. We've seen what they can do at home. You see, they are a home team, and managers have talked about it. You've had other managers say how coming into Philadelphia is pain. So I don't want to say it's not a great thing. I think yes, if you can get that 1 seed throughout the playoffs, and if you make the World Series and have that team come here, yes, because that way you're on the road less, you're more comfortable at home. You have your fans. That game 7 is, home teams are usually the teams that win that game. So that game 7 at home in Philadelphia, if it happened, the place is going to be rocking. So, if you could get it throughout the playoffs, you want it. But I don't really think, you can win it without it. So it's nice to have. I think setting up that rotation and getting guys healthy, just that 1 or 2 seed is more important, at least to me.
Yeah. The Phillies have the best home record in baseball. They're at 52 and 26. No other team in baseball has more than 48 wins. So this is a team that, say again?
Maybe I was wrong.
Well, no, but like you said, dude, once the playoffs start, I just don't think it means anything. Like I really don't, because if you're playing good ball, you're playing good ball. It doesn't matter where you're at.
It really is. And last year we watched it. How damn hot was this team going in?
Oh my God, yeah.
Through Marlins, they were rolling through everybody. Yeah. And then when them bats went cold, it didn't matter. It really seemed like, you beat Atlanta, and I felt like a lot of people feel like that is the big deal, and everybody forgets about everything else, the other losses that we occurred at home. So, but it is a big deal. It is easier to play at home. These boys, they're really good, like 52 and 26. It's a pretty damn good record. So home cooking does play for them.
Yeah, you got your money's worth if you're a season ticket holder.
Yes.
Also, what was really big this week, J-Man, was like as if, Lehigh Valley took over, South Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Today
there's a lot of them.
I know today it was Buddy Kennedy. On Saturday, it was the Cal Stevenson show. Weston Wilson was part of a big comeback today. This was just a phenomenal week for depth. And that's something that we've talked about for so long with this Phillies roster, that they lack depth. On the main roster before before the Buddy Kennedys and the Cal Stevensons, yes, this was a very limited bench. Especially for the majority of the year, you had, slobs like Christian Pache taking up space. But you lose Sosa for a while, who gets hurt. And then in come these 3 dudes who it didn't matter. It seems like, Jay, it doesn't matter who gets the start and who gets an opportunity to play. These dudes are coming through. How do you think this is going to play when you get to have these extended rosters going into the playoffs?
Oh, it's nice to see. I think it's going to Topper's going to have some decisions of who you can, who's going to bring. I think that's going to be the toughest part. Because a lot of these guys have shown they can play. There's, a lot of different guys showing they can be very useful off the bench. So I think that's going to be the toughest part is, who's going to be your 26 going in, come cut day. But it is nice to see these guys listen to have, like you said, first team to 90 wins. We're 52 wins at home. That really happens. It's because of those type of guys that come up and really fill in the roles when needed. And it's nice to, outside of, when you see all that, we've talked about it all year. We thought Witt and those guys are really going to step up, and they didn't. But now to see these guys, and even Clemens coming through when he's had his opportunities, it's nice to see it. It is good, especially where we thought we really had a lack of depth. But this team's really driven by the starters. So while it's my buddy said to me today, who do you keep? once you look past it, if you need these guys in the playoffs, you're not going to win though. It's really driven by
I
the top
agree.
dudes.
And, we talk about this team wouldn't be a 90-win team if, a guy like Edmundo Sosa doesn't play out of his mind for the month that we
Yes,
were
he
missing
did.
Trey Turner, right? So, he was playing so well that a maniac on our crew thought that he should just be a permanent starter. That ended quickly. So by the way, happy birthday, Johnny Mac. You're the man, dude. So thank you for providing us that gem earlier in the season. But you are right, and that's going to be a big deal. I mean, Topper's going to have some decisions to make, but if those are the kind of decisions that you're thinking about in October, you might be already having some problems. But the good thing is it looks like, Jay, to kind of now move on, talking about the roster as it is, it looks like the Phils are getting healthy at the right time. JT Realmuto missed, the first week. I'm sorry. He missed the second week of September after fouling a ball off his knee. Again, he played all 3 games this weekend. He's probably going to have Monday off because then he'll probably catch Zach Wheeler on Tuesday in Milwaukee. Kyle Schwarber also played the whole weekend after missing a game with an elbow contusion. Alec Boehm finally, out of nowhere, was activated Sunday afternoon. He had a hit in his first at bat, but did go 1 for 4. But still, that presence is very much felt. Jay, we've been talking about this team and them staying healthy all year. We missed Harper. Harper's been battling multiple injuries all season long. We missed Trey Turner for a month. JT's been off and on for the last month or so. Alec Boehm went from supposed to miss like a day or two to missing, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this team? Here we are mid-September, seemingly getting healthy at the right moment.
It's nice because now, when Boehm, where, a lot of people didn't, were complaining because it was a wrist or whatever the injury may be. I think, yeah, rest him now in the beginning of September, rest him, because I'd rather them get healthy. You give those guys a couple weeks off, but now they're able to come back 2 weeks before playoffs. And that's what you really need. You want to get those, even though it's a long season, now you're getting into your groove the last 2 weeks. You can figure out your swing again. And hopefully come October, now you got it. Now you're back hitting where you were, a few months ago, and where he's really needs to be. So, getting them back now, I think, is super important, just because it does give them that time to prep before, that real big October run.
For sure. And, the Phillies had a great week. They opened up the week. They swept out the Rays. They lost 1 game in their weekend series against the Mets, which we're going to talk about right now, because I think it's going to start. Look, it's not going to happen. I don't even know why I'm going to bring it up, but it should still be something that's discussed internally by Topper. If I'm starting the playoffs tomorrow, Jay, my 1 and 2 starters is going to be Zach Wheeler and Chris Sanchez.
I agree.
Aaron Nola is my 3rd starter. And people can call me a hater all they want. Look, what I've seen are the last 2 or 3 starts out of Nola, he's reverting back to where he'll have an amazing start, and then his next 2 to 3 starts are going to be awful to look at. Christopher Sanchez has been that guy, though, the constant all season long. A quick thing on Christopher Sanchez, especially at home, he has a 2.05 ERA at home this season. That's the 3rd lowest for a Philly starter since CBP opened.
Wow.
So if you're a Topper, Jay, you have to be thinking that Christopher Sanchez has earned that spot.
I think right now he has
Aaron
to.
Nola. Yeah.
As of right now, he has to. My one issue, I think we have to start treating Nola with really what he is. And I think early in the season, you or John, somebody threw out this stat out there that shows like his 3rd time around the lineup is really where he starts to struggle.
Yes.
And I think it's because when it happens with Nola, what happens with Nola when he, it's not usually like a bad inning, he gives up a run, gives up a run, gives up a run, gives up a run. It's that 5th inning dynamite. That's typically what Nola does. I remember in that game against Houston in the World Series, that's what it was. Both teams were pitching great, and then he gave it. So once he starts to go, if you're going to make him your 2 or even wherever you put him, I think once you start to see it, you can't give him that leash anymore. He hasn't earned it now. He's shown where he starts to give it up and it really starts to go and it snowballs. So you just can't
Yeah.
give him that leash anymore. Once you start to see it, you got to pull him. You got to yank him.
Yep.
It is scary because it really, early in the season, we were talking about it. I'm really worried about my 3 and 4 starter at this point going into the postseason. You don't know what you have. I know you just said, they're getting healthy. The offense is, but it really feels like the pitching a little bit, that starters are really starting to decline and fall apart come this at the end of the season. You hope they can figure it out.
Yeah, and it's not just Aaron Nola that I'm worried about. I will say this, we all wanted Nola. We thought he was going to have a really good turnaround season. As it stands right now, Jay, and he's probably still has, a good 2 more starts or so. He leads the league in home runs and given up in home runs with 28. That's 4 off of what he did last season at 32. So he just continues to not right the ship there. Yes, he probably won't hit that 4.46 ERA that he had last season, but he's already over 3.6. And that would be probably the 4th or 5th worst of his career at this point. Look, he's still showing up every 5th day. He's already logged over 180 innings. His strikeouts are a little down. He's at 174 where he had 202 last season. So his strikeouts are a little down, but not much. That's not really to be worried about. The home run ball's still there. And that's what I'm really worried about, Jay, is that you're right.
But it's always been there.
It's that one inning
against the Mets. Know, what can you do though?
I don't know.
It? Because it's really been his whole career. Like when you go and look, it's funny because I was sitting there looking at on Instagram and it's showing Greg Maddux like insane stats by Greg Maddux. It's like the dude had like 200 and something innings, gave up like 2 home run balls. It's like that's a Tuesday night for Aaron Nola. What are we talking about here? Like it'd be nice to have it, but he just funny. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he gives up a lot of, and it's sad. Like it stinks because he is a very good, I love a good whip guy. He's a very good whip guy, but when they get a hold of his stuff, it goes and it goes far.
I'm just saying, Jay, this year his whip is right at 1.2.
It's this year. It's not good. It's not as good as it has been.
Last year it was a 1.15. So his whip, again, it's just overall just not a great season for him. But you look at it this way, though. I mean, I'm not just worried about Nola. Ranger, since coming back, had that one really good start, but boy, oh boy, he's getting knocked around too. So, I mean, if you're the Phillies right now, Jay, it's Wheeler, Wheeler is Wheeler. I know it's cliche, but Wheels is Wheels, right? Probably top 3 in the NL Cy Young race at the end of the year this year. Yeah. And you got Christopher Sanchez, who especially at home is as dominant as they can be. You got to think that at the playoffs start tomorrow, is Chris Sanchez your number 2 starter?
I think he has to be. He's earned it. He's shown me he's the guy that can come in. When you look at today is a great example. Today was a game there's a maybe not a must win, but you really wanted it and you needed it to kind of solidify. He came in and did what you want to see, a 1 or 2 do. So he's shown us this year, even the end of last season, he did look very good. So I think from what I've seen from him and what I've seen I know Nola is, I think Chris has earned, if you go into the playoffs today and you get that 1 or 2 seed, I think if you get to set your rotation, I think it has to be Wheeler Sanchez.
Yeah. I agree. And, we're going to see Wheeler and Nola and Ranger in this upcoming series here in Milwaukee. Ranger goes Monday, Wheels on Tuesday, and then Nola on Wednesday. That's going to be a big start for Nola. Big start for Aaron Nola. Would really like to see a really good outing out there because it is only been that 1 inning. And against the Mets, it was the 5th. He was rolling through 4 innings and then gave up a 6 spot.
No-hitter
in
wasn't
the 5th.
it? I think he had a no-hitter going before that.
I believe
like that's close to it.
So it was. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Right, yeah. But look, again, Monday begins at 3-game set in Milwaukee. They'll enter the series at least 3 games behind the Phillies. The NL East, I hate saying this, but it's pretty much wrapped up. And the Phils can go a long way, towards nailing down that first round bye if they take care of the Brewers, win 2 or 3, maybe even sweep them. But Jay, how's it feel to know that it's September 15th? And I think it's pretty safe to say for us, we're not the ones playing the game, but I think it's pretty safe to say that the division's locked up.
It's tough to say that. I remember going, September, what was it? 08, whatever, 07, where we can't, like, you never want to say it because you never know. But it does feel good when you look at it. The Braves, they go tonight, they play the Dodgers. So it's kind of like, well, you kind of rooting for the Braves at this point, like that. You really feel like you want the Braves to win to kind of solidify that one seed. So it does feel good. The one thing I do look at the Brewer series, yeah, you're right. Winning that series is huge.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you really just can't get swept. As long as you win.
Agreed.
I'm not saying, win one game, that's it. But you already swept the Brewers. So if you win one game, you hold the season series over them. Yeah. So yes, you want to get as much distance as you can, but you have to win at least one. You can't get swept, which I'm very confident they will.
For sure. I agree with you. And I feel like they'll at least take 2 out of 3 here. I still don't think there's any time for them to take the foot off the gas pedal, because I hate when teams do that.
Agreed.
You want to get into October feeling as good as humanly possible with your game all around, top to bottom. So I really want the Phillies to keep their foot on the gas pedal. So this week they have 3 against it's a 3-gamer in Milwaukee, and then a 4-game set up in Flushing, New York, against the Mets, which will be a really fun series to watch. Jay, your thoughts on the upcoming week, as they got another one of those 7-game calendar weeks here?
Pretty confident. I like what I saw. Like I said, you want to win at least one, which I'm pretty sure they will with Wheeler going. But I do feel, at best, I'm thinking at worst, to me, and I hate to say, if you go 3-4, it's not the end of the world because where you're at. But I feel like this should be a 5-2 week. I think you do go 2-1 against the Brewers, and I think you go 3. I think you really end the Mets season. It'd be nice, like we all said. You kind of get to put an end to the Mets season if you can go up to Flushing and kind of put stomp them out. So it'd be really beautiful to see that happen. So I see I believe 5-2 is where they finish this week and kind of start to wrap up, put some distance, at least, 1 or 2. They're going to get some distance in there now with Milwaukee, and kind of solidify that 1 or 2 seed in the National League in hopes of getting the number 1 overall seed in baseball.
I'm with you, man. Last thing before we roll out of here, it's been a long weekend for us adults here, so we're ready to wrap this up. Your thoughts on Bryce Harper finally getting out of that huge power outage? Aaron Judge goes 11 games without hitting a home run and the world's on fire. Bryce Harper went over a month without hitting a home run and seemingly getting any RBIs. When you look at Bryce Harper, Jay, he didn't do anything on Sunday, whatever. But are you happy that maybe this is the turnaround? Do you think that was just an outlier? He gets 2 in 1 game. Do you expect Harper now to kind of flip that switch?
Well, isn't that kind of what we've seen before? We've seen him do this. I remember early in the season, weren't you? Yeah. And everyone else was really upset. And then he had that one game, and he went into that stretch again. So, no, I'm not worried because I know it's going to come. He's a dude that's, he's never been a super home run guy. He does hit a lot of doubles, and with that the home runs are going to come. It is a little concerning when you go over a month. You do see him going over a month without a home run. It is concerning. So it's nice to see him just get it off his back, and maybe not stop pressing for it so much. But the power's still there. He's still getting the doubles. So it's something going into the playoff time. I'm not really worried about it. If the doubles weren't there and the average wasn't there and the slugging, so that stuff still wasn't there, then I would start to worry. But because I know all the injuries they've been talking about him having, but it doesn't really seem to be affecting him that much. It's just the ball's not going over the fence right now.
Yeah, so Harper right now, as it stands, has 40 doubles, which is 2 off of his career high, which he hit 42 doubles in his MVP season with the Phillies back in 21. So look, like you said, the doubles are there. He's got 146 hits, which is let's see, 5 off of his career high with the Phillies. Again, back in the MVP season, he had 151 hits. He's sitting at 146 right now. And it looks like, Jay, he's going to play over 140 games this season. I think you and I have said before, if we can get 140 plus games out of Bryce Harper every year, I think I'd be pretty happy about that.
Oh, I agree. As long as it's not that super big
Yeah.
injury that really takes him out.
Right.
He's going to miss some games here and there. Like, I expect guys not to play, 100. They're going to get those guys to play those type of games anymore. But like you said, you've been talking about, and I know I kind of laugh at you a little bit, but I do expect the RBIs and those to be a little bit higher. I do expect the home runs to be up a little bit. Especially for my 3-hole hitter, I do expect a little bit more from him.
That's all I was saying.
That's
all I'm saying. Look, I understand. Look, he doesn't have to hit 45 home runs. He doesn't even have to hit 40. He doesn't even have to hit 35. But if you're my 3-hole hitter,
I want 35 for who he is.
I agree. So if you're my 3-hole hitter on this roster, I think he should have a minimum of 95 to 110 RBIs.
I think he should have 100, over 100 regardless.
So I'm giving that minimum, that floor at 95 in case he missed some games, which he has, but still, come on now. Like, you're my 3-hole hitter in that lineup, and you got 82 RBIs in 133 games. I'm just not happy. I'm not happy with it. I'm just not. So the one thing
I will say, because when you look at it, out of everybody that's ahead, like, there are guys, if the top 11 in slugging, he's 11th. He is the one so to me, it's not really, you're 11th in
top
slugging.
5 and top 6 in batting average.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you look at it, I can't really put all of the him not getting all the RBIs exactly on him. Like, he hasn't really had the guys on base. When you're 11th in slugging, the RBI should be there. So to me, it's not as much him as it is maybe guys just aren't on base as much when he is getting those big hits or getting the hits.
Yeah, agreed. But look, I think the best is yet to come. I really do. I think the Phillies are hitting their stride here, so we're going to look forward to that. Jay has them at a 5-2 week. I also have them at least a 5-2 week. I think that what's going to really set the tone are these first 3 games in Milwaukee with Ranger, Wheeler, and Nola toeing the rubber. So we'll be looking forward to seeing that.
Question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick, who's a bigger start this week, do you think? Ranger or Nola?
Wow, that's a great. I'm going to say Ranger, because Ranger's been like that guy that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but in the playoffs, boy, he's really turned it on.
Yeah.
But you kind of saw him going into the postseason last year. He had that stuff. Whereas right now we're in September and he just doesn't look like he has it right now. Where Nola, like you said, we've seen him now his whole career for over a decade. We're going to get what we're going to get from him. But Ranger is like that wild card where if you have Ranger on like he was last season, that can really carry the Phillies somewhere. So that's I really want to see a great outing out of Ranger.
I agree. On a side note, Arizona just tied it up in the top of the 10th with or the bottom of the 10th with no outs, and the bases are loaded. So hopefully Arizona can pull this out and you gain another game on them today.
That's incredibly great. So that wraps up this edition of the show. It felt so great to be back. Sorry I missed last week. Should be good. God willing, I should be good now for the rest of the season. No problems there. Unless I'm at one of the games. If I'm at one of the games, then I might not be on right away afterwards. But if you guys are watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and of course, ring that bell for notifications. Head over to SeatGeek.com right now. Use our code RINGTHEBELL for $20 off your very first ticket purchase. Hey, if you're looking for Phillies playoff tickets, head over to SeatGeek and use that code. $20 helps. It's better than zero. So why not just get $20 off there? All right. So for Jason Kent, I'm Christy Francesco, and we'll catch you guys here down the road next weekend. And as always, everybody, go Phils.